otherwise known by my birth name. I'm going to be testing a typology diagnostics test, which has been authored by Olga Tangemann, who is a forensic psychologist who unfortunately isn't present here for some reasons I cannot say. So I'm going to be recording, doing a reading, asking questions from this questionnaire, and we'll see what happens. I think that the only problem is that I have to read these questions on this screen, and the idea is that you'll be able to see the video. But we're using Hangout, so it'll be alright. Yeah, I'm not using focus screen. So we've had a lot of technical difficulties, but you're not interested in that. It's not all that kind of bollocks. You can just. So I hope that as many of you are viewing this as possible, and hopefully, God's willing, this will go smoothly. I'm happy to introduce the test subject for this questionnaire, Slavenius. Yeah. Yeah. So, are you prepared? Are you prepared for the questions?
Yes, I'm prepared.
Right.
Okay. For sequence.
How big? Dear all, this question. Well, answer these questions first. So that must mean these questions are the most important.
Okay.
I think the idea is to be as flexible as you can. But I was told that people should keep to the questions. Okay. Your interests and hobbies.
Okay.
Right. Favorite subjects at school.
Okay.
Professional interests and ambitions. What people appreciate in you, and what people criticise in you. That's it. That'll be interesting. Of course, if you know Socionics or MBTI, of course, share your thoughts about your possible type, or don't. Let's make it difficult for these bastards. Don't tell us, but you can if you want. All right.
Okay, so I'll start a question at a time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with these. What are your hobbies and interests?
Currently, I would say I have 8 hobbies, and I have to choose hobbies that are equal value. In other words, hobbies that I can in my everyday life. Skills.
You have 8 hobbies. You have 8 hobbies.
Yes.
Wow.
So, for example,
are they as important as one another, or are they just of equal importance?
Well, I can classify them for the higher importance and to the lower importance for my own personal growth and satisfaction. Each one of them is important. Start first with prayer. I'm somewhat spiritually inclined.
You're spiritually inclined.
Yes. I have a more random approach than people have used to. You know, some people are religious, but I don't really fit by the definition of what religious is. You know, I'm into the teachings of Orthodox Church, but I'm not accepting 100% teaching. You know, I'm finding something.
No.
But I would call myself of a Christian belief, that is. But toward spirituality and to practice of religious doctrines 100%, you know, by the book, so to speak. So prayer helps.
It isn't fixed. It's quite flexible.
Yeah. Flexible. Also, what I would like to say is that my practice of prayer is similar to most people use meditation. It is to help me my mental health, physical health. Also, what I noticed during my practice of prayer is that my mind, when I wake up, it helps me to gain some power, motivation to actually face the day, and also wakes me up. You know, instead of drinking coffee, when I do a prayer, it has almost similar effect. It wakes you up. You know, it gives you positive emotion. I don't know the reason for that. One of the scientific research said prayer helps actually with the blood flow somehow. Meditation, of course. But I prefer prayer because prayer is much more simpler. For meditation is much abstract. You're supposedly have to close yourself in, then focus on yourself. While prayer is much more. You imagine that you're talking with someone out there. Whether you live in it or not. And it's easy. You feel like you're talking to a real person. While with meditation, it's much harder because it's much more abstract. Even more abstract because you have to imagine somebody who's supposedly, there, who's supposedly out there, but actually looks like. So it's quite hard even to perform for somebody who's more oriented like.
Slaven, sorry to interrupt you. Is it possible if you could turn your camera off? Because I think it's really it's getting a bit choppy. It might be. I might be able to hear you a bit better if you turned your camera off. I can understand most of it, but it's a little bit like a long distance radio conversation. It's sort of choppy. So it usually does improve when you. I've turned my camera off.
Yeah, I understand.
No one wants to see me in my dressing gown. Yeah. Actually, I'm certain many people would want to see me in my dressing gown, but you're not going to because it wastes bandwidth.
Yeah. And,
so I'm trying not to joke too much here, because I have a habit of doing it. So prayer increases blood flow to the brain. It means the brain or to the whole body.
I would say it improves circulation of the entire blood flow. Central stream system of blood. And,
don't say. Yeah, be careful about saying that because the Viagra people who produce Viagra might want to talk to you.
Yeah, it doesn't have that effect, but it generally improves the blood flow. That's at least what scientists said, and I can tell by myself, at least from my subjective experience of it. It actually helps me, and I also noticed that my immune system is better. But it doesn't work. It's not like drinking Obelix and Asterix, a special potion, and then you get ultimate strength and etc. It's actually a process that takes time and devotion to practice. If you stop practicing on a daily basis, it does not have an effect. It's just like talking to a wall. It doesn't give you anything. So that's something I practice, and it helps a lot in sense of it improves the mood and it increases the willpower, and especially I'm mentioning willpower because I'm not quite good at. I don't have natural willpower. I don't have a natural discipline. So for me, anything that can help me in that area of life, it's really useful. It's really I really appreciate that. Also, another thing I do is I sometimes go to gym. I'm not quite proficient in working out. I'm not one of those people who are obsessed, want to pump up big muscles like.
No, those people have a problem, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Something about manlyhood or something. But anyways,
or the exact opposite of manlyhood. I'm not sure. Lots of men at gym sweating and stuff. I will say no more.
Yes, and also what I would say additionally is for me it's about maintaining my body. When I see muscles and when I see actually after workout how my muscles are, I would say stronger and much more flexible, and I'm much more agile and much more movable. I move faster and better. Then I see working out as a way to improve your physical conditioning. Because what I noticed is that I'm naturally not so athletic, and when I work out, I develop these muscles in that way that I compensate for my natural lack of athletic abilities, So actually, and it helps in everyday life when I'm stronger, when I'm faster, when I have quicker reflexes, rather than when I don't, Naturally, I don't. So I have to be one of those people that have to work out to gain those traits. I'm not one of those naturally gifted people in fast reflexes and in quite good agility things they have their early age of life. So it helps me that way, and also I feel much relieved when I use my energy, because when I don't work, when I'm I would say lazy a long time, I actually feel depressed, so I get some sort of desire to work, and seeing that workout, I mean, using physical exercise is one of the productive ways of actually using your energy for something that is useful. I see them as quite good combination of wasting your energy and doing something productive for your body, developing your muscles and increasing your body capacities in some basic functions that people use, like running, walking, working with your hands on different stuff, and etc. And of course, what I noticed also is that workout helps with increasing your focus, your willpower, because you wake up your body, you stimulate your brain with hormones of luck called serotonins. So it is quite useful one way or another. It's not only for looks; it also helps you in many different ways. Then the third hobby would be running. I'm not quite. I rarely run. I would like to run more, but it actually takes me a lot of time to reach the location where I can run. My local park. It takes me maybe 2 to 3 miles from home, and to be honest, I'm not quite motivated to go there. Walking and then start running and then being tired returning to my home. So when I repair my bike or when I get my license for driving a car, I'll definitely go more often to park to run. And also, I'm quite obsessed when it comes from physical elements of sports. I'm quite obsessed with conditioning, because I always had a weak condition, and I never had enough willpower to actually participate in lots of sports where it is demanded high level of conditioning. Because I have issues. I quickly tire myself out, and when I quickly tire myself out, all my willpower goes away. But I assume that when I would have better conditioning or better lung capacity, I would definitely be able to endure much more and to focus myself when I play sports or do any sports activity. And to be honest, that was always my greatest flaw, conditioning, and lots of time when I would play basketball, and that's another hobby of mine, is that many opponents that lack technique skills, and some athletic abilities would beat me because they have better conditioning, and I would say I naturally have really low conditioning. I would say even below average, below average healthy person that plays sports. My conditioning is really bad. From the other hobbies, I have my next hobby is intellectual studies. That's how I call it, and that's basically me exploring different sciences, different theories of conspiracies, different theories that explains how.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so those are both scientifically validated sources, as well as those that are more exoteric and more pseudoscientific. They're not quite, so not quite in the realm of seriousness of science. So they are mostly used to entertain me, because I like to be entertained with different science fiction scenarios. That's why I like science fiction novels and video games and stuff like that. And also, they stimulate me that way, that actually allows me to view things from different angle, from different perspective. Because if those things cannot provide you useful knowledge, at least what I can do is to consider and to actually understand that there are people out there who view things differently than we do. And because of that, sometimes their perspective can be at least interesting, if not useful. So I would call myself a pseudo schooler. I'm not quite one of those people who likes to intensively read and study every day. Wasting lots of hours per day to study something, unless something it is seriously that is really interesting to me. I'm more of a gradual learner. I like to gain input of information from time to time, rather than to gain a huge amount of information in a short period of time.
Right.
Because I would say that my mental process work is that I actually absorb those information and let my cognition and my psyche to actually sort those things by themselves. And later, when they sort themselves by themselves or by some subconscious process, it's much more easier for me to actually use those information, rather than to consciously try by myself to figure them out quickly as possible. You know, it
Hmm.
drains me rather quickly. I like to passively I like to passively gather data and then after a while analyze them in my head. You know, but I'm
Ah.
not those people who judge things quickly. So uh, additionally, what I could say about myself is I like spiritual literature, both from religion, both from autonomous spiritual sources, and my favorites would be the literature of saints. You know, when they
Ah.
describe the biographies of saints and how they lived, how they sacrificed their material life to gain something, um, because of their ideal, and that ideal was teaching them that they will get something better, something much more satisfying in the um, long-term payable than what they actually have in the material world. I was always attracted by those deep moralistic ideals, you know,
Hmm.
that can particularly be found, for example, in Christianity, in Buddhism, and in some other major religions. Um, and also, I was always fascinated by people who would stick to their principles, you know, who would say, I would do this in this situation, I will never do this, you know, because I never had a strong principle that, and I was always inspired by those people who would, no matter what the cost, and no matter what temptation has found them, and no matter how people were trying to convince them, they would be true to their principles, you know, their values, so to say. And
Hmm.
besides
Hmm.
that,
Well, I'm ask some more questions. I'll get more the other. Well, these are the preliminary questions.
yeah.
Do you have? I mean, you can keep it. Do you have any professional ambitions or interests?
Yes, well, my current desire is to become an engineer. Unfortunately, my college in my hometown does not offer the
Hmm.
most range of possible options, and I'm only limited to five specializations. You know, in college where I'm, it's quite small, and so I've decided to for bachelor degree in traditional engineering because I found that specialization the most interesting one, and also I'm naturally inclined to go to more multidisciplinary careers where you have different sciences, different topics combined together rather than to adhere to strict specialization. The reason is I get bored after a while to do just one thing. You know, I like to do multitudes of things in the same time. So I would say that's
Hmm.
the reason. And also I have problem is I have just like we asked in the beginning of this interview, are those hobbies equally important, or you would be able to classify them? I would say they're all equally important because they cover different aspects of my life that are needed to be properly maintained and happy. So that's the reason why I said that they're both equally important. Also, additional, what I would say is that's a career interesting, but unfortunately, that's not the only aspect of engineering I want to do. So maybe for a master's degree, I will do some additional engineering just in. So those are my um, professional ambitions, for now at least.
All right. Um. Yeah, because if you could be closer to the microphone, it would help a bit.
Okay.
If you
Is it better now?
yeah, yeah, a lot better. Yeah. This is okay. Well, okay. What do those close to you appreciate in you, and what do they criticize? I think it means criticize negatively.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Basically, um, what they praised me for, they always were telling me that I was, for example, my parents were always saying that I'm a good kid, and by kid they meant I was never a troublemaker. I was never too defiant. You know, I was never a delinquent. You know, I was never being someone who would go into outrageous conflicts with his parents. You know, who would be really arrogant and disobedient.
Hmm.
Also, I would never bully other people and consciously provoke them I mean, starting for myself. You know, if I would ever do such a thing, I would do that in defensive because of defensive reasons, because those people have done um, something of that nature before, and I was irritated by their activities towards me. But generally, my parents were always said that I was intellectually curious and that I was always a respectful child. And also, what they said to me is that I was always friendly and polite towards other people. So that's generally um, what they have told to me. And also, they told me that that I can help them with, for example, house chores.
Mm.
They never complained about me. They always knew I was enthusiastic to help them to work with house chores, even if I personally sometimes I'm not quite in the mood to do them. Sometimes the problem is with house chores is that sometimes I'm in good mood to do them, and sometimes I really want to avoid them as much as possible.
Mm.
And also, when it comes to criticizing, they were telling me that I'm generally lazy. I have issues with procrastinating, and that unfortunately extends now towards the college, where I can sometimes, it happens from time to time, that I can actually skip lots of days without studying and then start one day, 2 days maybe, and then do the same thing again. So really unhealthy pattern of studying. And also I'm prone to leave lots of things unfinished for a long periods of times.
Mm.
My father has criticized me for. He said that I'm a kid in almost every area. The only
Mm.
flaw that I have is that I'm really lazy, and I should eliminate that if I want to succeed in today's world that requires lots of hard work and dedication to your obligations. And also, they said I'm quite irresponsible person. That I'm careless. That I can easily forget about my obligations and duties.
Mm.
And also, they were
Huh. Well,
when I go to basic state, they say my face is too dark in sense of I'm too serious, and they don't like me.
mm.
They don't like my face is too serious, and they probably misunderstood me as being depressed when I'm just in my basic state. And I can justify that because I think that both of my parents are married types in socionics, and they probably don't understand my nuance of proportion to the serious side. That's at least what I think.
It's quite funny. It's quite funny in this question. It has P.S. Please make sure that you do not tell the information about yourself which you may regret later. All right.
Yeah.
It also asks if you know your Socionics and or MBTI type. Please share your personal thoughts about your possible type, if you want.
Well, I would say that most consistent type in MBTI for me was INTJ, and to be honest,
Ah,
I could relate
this
to
is
that.
INTJ in MBTI.
Yes,
Ah, I see.
and I was typed both by newbies in MBTI and both by experts in MBTI. By that I mean amateurs
Hmm.
of different calibers of knowledge and expertise. And what I would say additionally is there were other suggestions, like occult members of typology of Code Layer were suggesting that I'm an INFJ, which is a level of stupidity of actually suggesting something like that. And they're also known that for typing 90% of people that have typed as INFJs, like the INFJs are master race or something. But that's their own issue. But from other people, the most consistent trait it was that I'm a thinker, an intuitive
Hmm.
type. And from both INTJ and INTP perspective, INTJ types fitted better because INTJ was much more, so to say, um, structured and methodological, while INTP had a more rigid logic. It had more rigid thought process than INTJ, but his intuition was more scattered. More
Ah,
overall.
yes, yeah.
Intuition was much more focused and to the point. So I could always
Hmm.
identify with more methodological approach of INTJ and not so much with systematic thought process of INTP. And in Socionics, when I joined
Hmm.
BSS, that's the first community I've joined last year in June.
Ah.
Um,
is that in the beginning I was typed by some newbie Socionics as an ESI. That was the first site I was typed
Oh,
as. Later, some people have typed me as SLE. Some people have typed me as SLI. Later, when I did an interview with the VSS community, I've done two. One for the diagnostics team, their special
yes.
ops experts supposedly for typing other people. They type me as LIE, and the problem is that not even 50% of members have even take care of my case. For
Ah,
those people that did, they said mostly LIE after one member who had a huge reputation, but unfortunately has a bit of eccentric character. You probably know who I'm talking about. Is
oh, oh, yes. The certain I use ILIE or ILE.
LIE, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. The main admin of World Socionics Society.
Possibly. So
Um,
they're disputed that maybe he's oppressed by other admins because of the
well, that such is irrelevance to the questionnaire. so, so I, I,
anyways, so finally, both the experts of ESS and both the community members of ESS agreed on LIE typing. Some people though suggested I may be LSC, not so much SLI. All people agreed that
mm,
I'm
mm,
that I'm EJ type, the extrovert judger temperament, because they say that my posture is more rigid, much more mechanic, so to say. It's not so
mm,
flexible, relaxed, and laid back like
mm.
the IT. And also, my speech is much more direct and rigid, and that fits more to the TE-based type.
Huh.
But unfortunately, they never agreed. There are still tied the people who say that I'm LSC, and there are still and much stronger tied of people that says that I'm LIE. So that's when it comes to typologies and my types.
Well, I'm very happy. I'm happy that they gave feedback, even if it's confusing feedback. It's at least it's interesting. Right now we're going to the function based questions.
Yes.
If I can,
Yeah, sure.
if my brain doesn't explode first, there's a lot of text to read here. Right, task one: four functions. Right. I thought they were eight functions. There are four functions. Okay. You are invited to think about your abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. Right. Bear with me. How good are you at logics? As an example, you should bring the facts from your life, explain the point as detailed as you can, but I'll continue. This is the example of logics. In arguments and conflicts with other people, you do not delve into their subjective feelings and motives, but seek objective rationale for everything. You are convinced by references of rules and facts. You're able to explain the logic behind various mechanisms, acts, or deeds involved. You rely on your mind. You may not always understand the reaction of other people to your words. You find it difficult to interpret people's emotions. You are not always sure how you feel about others or how others may feel about you. You would prefer people to say it directly. You may find it easier to work with technology, computers, or figures. So you rate it. Well, of course, give examples, but and then you'll say whether it's good, not good, or not sure.
Well, examples of those would be, for example, when I go out with my friends, I
Hmm.
have tendency to say where to go in order to spend certain sum of money. If they want to spend more money, then I would suggest we can go there and there and there, to better bakery. or to better coffee shop or to better pizza shop, you know. And also, if they want to spend less, then I quickly in my mind try to recall those places that provide both quality goods, you know, food, whether
Mm.
food, drinks, things like that, and where the prices are decent, where the prices are minimal, you know.
Mm.
So I'm able to provide that kind of logical advice to them, to tell them where it do- where it is pays off to go and to get certain, for example, nutritions when you, for example, go to buy pizza and also to eat properly at the same time, and maybe spare money to buy something else to like a
Mm.
dessert.
Mm.
Also, I'm known, I would say that I have ability to understand complex systems and to explain them in simple words, or should I say in common everyday language
Mm.
words to other people, you know. I personally don't like when people use lots of structural terminology. I mean, terminology is good when you talk with professionals, but when you talk with normal average people that are not in those professions, for example, when doctors speak with their patients, they shouldn't use lots of this terminology. They should try to explain them in everyday common language. You know, when you talk with our professionals, it is of course because of the prestige, but also it is because of the nature of the job that you need to know the terminology and to apply it. But when you talk with people that have no clue whatsoever, or are not, you know, officially educated to actually use those terminology and to actually be forced to use it, then you should put yourself on their level and try to explain them things on their level of cognition and understanding.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
That's at least what I personally think.
Mm.
So I would say in those two things I'm quite good at, and also I would say I'm a arbitrary. I'm arbitrary judger in sense of hold on a second, Stephen.
Mm. Okay, I can't hear you. So we lost contact with you.
Yeah,
We've
sorry,
lost.
some technical difficulties, but now everything
No,
is
that's all
okay.
right. Okay, it's no problem.
So I would say that the third function of my logic, or the ability to
Mhm.
use logical thinking, would be as an arbitrary judger. For example, if two of my friends argue, or some random people, or some people that I know decently argue, I will try to resolve conflict in an objective way. You know, I will try to listen to all of
Mm.
the sides. I will try to understand their perspectives, and then I will try to be like some sort of initiator in order to solve
Mm.
their issues. Also, so I will try not to pick sides. I will try to objectively understand each side, and then based on their input and my judgment and my thinking about both of their input and meaning of what they said, I will try to actually, um, um, you know, it's such a solution that will ultimately be the most objective one, that will ultimately
Mm.
show the truth in that regard, who was right and who wasn't, by the merit of what they said, you know.
Mm. So, should I rate that as good, not good, or not sure?
I would rate that as not sure.
Not sure. Okay, fair enough. Right. Okay. Okay. Number two. It's on
Yes.
ethics. Same kind of thing. Do you want description of ethics?
Yes, if you don't
In
mind.
here? Right. You you delve into people's feelings, motives, and needs. You are very able to harmonize and inspire the people around you. You are always there for others. You enjoy being and working with people. You value human rights and morality. You feel confident about understanding other people's problems and resolving the disputes between them. If you made an argument and fall apart with the person, you usually know what to do in order to get back together. You can always find words of moral support and encouragement. You can say sorry even if it was not your fault. What idiot would do that? You trust your heart.
Well, I would not. Now here is that I agree with half of the things from this description and half of the things I don't agree with.
Ah.
I would agree with things that I try to find compromise. I try to reason with other people, but I'm not always that bastion of so to say, of morality and of emotional support. People have told me that I'm emotionally cold, that I'm emotionally unresponsive. That I'm emotionally selfish. That is. Um, on the other hand, some people have told me that I'm quite optimistic and positive person. Well, at least one person have told that openly, and he said that he never met such an optimistic person as I am. But I don't think he meant in a emotional way. Maybe he meant in the outlook kind of way, how I think and how I'm, um, eternally optimistic even after the lots of demises and ups and downs.
Hmm.
I would say that I don't always have the words of encouragement, but I'm known to inspire other people or to inspire myself by giving those motivational speeches. Unfortunately, I'm not such a great speaker, but I try
Hmm.
my best to find some, let's say, rational or meaningful um, motivational speech that will boost me up and will give me purpose in life and help me to actually achieve my goals or my duties or things of similar manner. I would say I have issues with emotions, particularly in that regard that when I get into some a new way of conflict emotionally, I get stuck. I don't know what to do because I never had experiences before in that
Hmm.
emotional interaction. I'm not quite good at some people who I think are medical types in Socionics to
Ooh.
improvise and to say something, even in the and hybridized versions of emotional interaction, particularly negative ones. I'm not quite
Hmm.
well prepared to maybe argue with that.
So I'll say not good.
Yeah,
That's the estimation. I mean, you say that. Would you say not good or not sure?
I would say it's definitely not good.
Not
That's
good.
the weakness I definitely feel in my everyday life.
Oh well, not. Oh, not good. I'm writing. Yeah, I'm writing down the answers. So it's just. I'm not annotating what your explanations, but I'm writing over not good here. Uh, right. Oh, this is a interesting one. How good are you at intuition? Is this you? Right. Okay. Etc. Bring the facts from your life. Description of intuition. Like there can never be one that I would accept. Having insights and relying heavily on intuition in order to solve problems. Keeping options open for as long as possible in order not to rush decisions. Having an ability to recognize a scam or con artist. I, I think you've already suggested that you have that ability previously. No, sorry, making valid predictions as to the course and outcome of events. Yeah, making valid predictions as to the course and outcome of events. An ability to use your imagination whenever necessary and fabricate a story at any time to convince others.
Yes,
Spontaneously finding your way out of a situation. Right, okay. Go on. So, it's a tricky one. Intuition.
from the old descriptions, I would say that intuition is quite certain function that I'm quite good at. I would say.
Yeah,
And
I'll check your
yeah,
mic. I can't. It's gone a bit quiet again. Some of this.
so can you hear me
Can't
now
hear.
properly?
Oh, so, wait a minute.
Maybe you're
This makes a nice side. All right.
so. What do you say that we make a break because I think short
Oh, okay. So I will continue this. I'll continue this interview after the house chores are done. That'll be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
It won't take more than